Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Miles of Horror, the only channel that's going to make you scream. So appreciate you guys hanging out. Before we do anything, if you could hit that like button and please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, I would appreciate it. Happy Saturday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. Hope you guys are drinking a hot beverage, watching spooky movies, doing all that good stuff, doing what you love, keeping it scary. Fun video for today. So I woke up at about 4 in the morning because for whatever reason, just couldn't sleep. It was hot in my apartment, yada yada. And I decided to watch a movie, and I went to my pile of movies. Today was a VHS pick, and I picked up this forgotten movie that just recently got love, but that had completely passed me by until recently. I really hadn't, remembered this thing until the Synapse Blu-ray. I don't even remember it from back in the day. Like it was something that completely passed me by, and that is none other than Adrienne Barbeau starring the year 2000's horror movie The Convent.
They say that Father Ryan and the nuns still haunt this building.
They had one mission.
All right, kids, we got some painting to do.
Do you think devil worshippers really live here?
They had one night to pull it off.
Think we can get up to the bell tower?
But now,
some of them may be dead.
You kids have any idea what you've done?
they've got two chances for survival.
Go.
Slim
I'm not afraid.
and none.
We got some demons to kill.
So, let me just say, that this movie completely passed me by. Okay, I really don't remember it from when I was a kid. I guess I was roughly like 13 or 14 when this came out. So I did a little deep diving, and it turns out this was revealed at the 2000 Sundance Film Festival. But other than that, it didn't get any kind of love, I don't believe. Like there was no theatrical release. So it kind of was forgotten by a lot of people. But then, recently we did get a resurgence of this movie. And so I'm guessing, like me, a lot of people kind of rediscovered it. Or even discovered it for that matter. So again, so Synapse is the company, and they put out a Blu-ray of this movie. So if you're not familiar with Synapse, let me just kind of take you guys through it for a second. I'm going to share my screen. Now, they did this, I think, last year sometime, so you can see my screen here. And they released a 4K, actually. This is the Blu-ray, but they announced a 4K. Let's see if I can find it. Here it is. So a 4K Ultra HD of this movie. And I was strongly considering getting it because I had never seen it. I didn't know what it was, but I watched the trailers. It looked really cool. And of course, Adrienne Barbeau. And the issue for me is that it's just so fucking expensive.
Gonna cost you a lot of money. Let's see.
And I just was like $50, man, for a movie. I'm okay spending that for some of these big boxes, but like I'd never seen it, and like I knew it was gonna be good, but like I just didn't think I needed it in 4K. Like that's kind of where I was at with it. And I ended up, in my VHS journey, landing this in a lot. And so I woke up 4 o'clock this morning, and I pulled this off my VHS lot, and I watched it on VHS. Now, before I move away from the screen, I just want to say Synapse does a great job. I have no issue. If you guys bought the 4K, you bought the Blu-ray, it's all good. I'm sure it's a great addition. And I probably had this movie in my cart like 5 or 6 different times, and ultimately decided not to pull the trigger just because it was just too pricey for my liking for this time around. But I was very close to pulling the trigger. But I mean, for 50, and after tax and shipping, like for $60 for the movie, it's just a lot, man. It's one movie, and I get that it's a 4K. It's got a slip and it's got cool artwork and all that. It's just a lot. And again, there's pros and cons to getting it on Blu-ray or 4K, as opposed to getting it on VHS. There's really benefits to both. But like I always say, guys, that's really why it's a great thing to open yourself up to all formats because it can really be beneficial. A movie like The Convent, and I spoke about this in another video. It's a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give you my thoughts in just a few minutes, but I don't feel like you need a 4K on this. For me personally, I didn't need a 4K. Now, if this is one of your favorite movies, and I know some people love this movie, go for it. I'm not telling you shouldn't get it, but for me personally, it was like I got this in a lot, so whatever the case might be, you could probably find it for like 10 to 15 bucks. And so to have the movie just bare bones VHS, it's just worth it sometimes just not to upgrade. The other thing is, for me, aesthetically, VHS is more aesthetically pleasing for me than anything else. It is my favorite aesthetically pleasing format. So having this was super cool. Also, one thing I love, guys, that I'm discovering, and you guys know that I am still new to VHS. I'm getting my feet wet. But one thing I love, I have it on a few of my releases, is this horror sticker up top, like the genre sticker. Like, how fucking cool is that? See if you guys can autofocus that. It's autofocus. It's just you see that green sticker, and down here it has a restricted sticker. I'm really feeling those stickers, guys. Like, when I first got into it, I was like, I don't want anything on my shit. I want it clean as fuck. Now I'm like, give me the stickers, man. It's cool stuff. Anyway, so let me just start out by saying the movie is super fun, and it completely passed me by until that Synapse Blu-ray. It got put on my radar, and now I finally watched it, the VHS. I loved it. The effects in this movie have not really aged well. I got to be honest with you guys. It's very kind of stop motiony, and it hits kind of different in VHS, which is why I'm kind of glad I not only do I own it in VHS, but I watched it in VHS. And this is kind of my point sometimes when it comes to these like 90s and early 2000s movies that are being remastered, especially to 4K. Like, it looks great to me on VHS. Like, some of this stop motiony stuff just hasn't aged well. And so, like, most specifically these 90s and early 2000 titles really, for in my opinion, are left better are better left on VHS, like, especially when you get them a lot cheaper. That's not the case for everything, but that's just my thoughts. And I actually randomly, before I saw the movie, probably last year at some point, I was flipping through the channels on my TV, and I actually saw that I saw a horror movie was on TV, and I watched it for like 2 minutes, and I was like, these effects are pretty shitty, and it ended up being The Convent. Now, so I turned away because I knew I wanted to see it, but I'm not saying there's not a charm to it, because there is, but I think it's more of a charm on VHS. You know what I mean? So anyway, I watched this at four o'clock this morning, roughly. And like I said, it had a Sundance release in 2000, but I believe that's about it. It had a DVD release. Then this is the first time it was on disc since then, with the Synapse release. So the premise of the movie, basically a group of college students who are so absurdly over the top, and that's one of the things I loved about this movie. So over the top, so cliche. They head to this abandoned convent, and demons get unleashed, and they kind of wreak havoc. And the characters are fantastic. There's this cheerleader who's like a total fucking bitch and stuck up, and there's a jock. And then there's this muscled up stoner who calls himself Frijole, which in Spanish is beans, I believe, or bean. So he's just bean Frijole. He was outstanding. He had some banging dialogue that you kind of just need to hear to believe. Just watch it. I don't want to like spoil anything. I thought about doing a clip on here, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna leave it for you guys to watch. I don't want to ruin it, but be excited because Frijole is awesome. Really fun character. The demons themselves rule. Okay, now like I said, Adrienne Barbeau is in this, but a lot of there's a lot of possession of some of the teens, and there's other group that kind of meets them in there that's like Satan worshippers, and some people get possessed and all this stuff, and the demons themselves rule. So like when someone gets possessed, like the makeup and the effects and the artwork on that is super cool. It was kind of the stop motiony stuff that didn't age well for me. But the effects on the eyes and the makeup of the demons was spicy, guys. It hit me really hard, especially the glowing green eyes. That was a nice touch. Now, one of the main characters, one of the main demons, she has these like glowing green eyes that she's kind of like the leader of the demons, and it really like pops. Kind of like what's that movie? Mausoleum, right? And Mausoleum, and for the effects when that came out in, I believe, early 90s, like 1990 maybe. Um, it's kind of that same effect, you know, those glowing green eyes really hit then. It kind of hits really hard in this as well, almost a decade later. Um, so I really enjoyed the demons. The gore was sensational. So it really like it really hit home in some of the death scenes. You know, you weren't getting too much of this during this time period. But the death scenes were fantastic. The movie does not hold back, which is cool, which is also probably why it didn't get a theatrical release, if I'm not mistaken. Again, don't quote me on that, but to my understanding, it did not have a theatrical release. I could be wrong. I tried to look it up and I couldn't find any more information. Um, but anyway, so this movie came out in 2000. I really enjoyed it. Completely passed me by. I don't know how. Could be because of theatrical release, but listen to me about 2000's horror. Okay, these are the movies that came out in 2000. It was a very weird year for horror. Okay, you had Ginger Snaps, you had American Psycho, Blair Witch 2, Toxic Avenger 4. You had Dial D for Demons, which Vinegar Syndrome just did a release of, which is a cool movie. You had Final Destination, which is probably the biggest movie that year, horror wise. You had Hollow Man, which is a sweet movie. You had Ju-on 1 and 2. That is the Japanese Grudge. You had Full Moon's Killjoy. You had the original Scary Movie, which was a big hit. You had Scream 3. You had Urban Legend Final Cut. And you had What Lies Beneath. So, and you had the comments. So as far as horror is concerned, it was a pretty weird and down year. Not too much was going on. You know, you had the very beginning of the J horror boom with Ju-on coming out, but this was a weird time period for horror. You had a lot of good stuff in the late 90s, and then it kind of got quiet in the early 2000s. Probably, in the era of like Jersey Shore and fist pumping and house music, and horror was just not in. Everyone was hitting the clubs, and horror was just not in, guys. It wasn't the thing like it is, right now in 2025, where it feels like it's like completely back, but it wasn't too big then, guys. Again, like things like Jersey Shore and like tanning booths and the beach and clubs and house music, that shit was popping in the early 2000s. So you had the grunge of the 90s and it led into that house era of the early 2000s, and movies like The Convent just kind of got like thrown to the wayside. So um, this movie passed me by, but I'm so glad that I was able to watch it. If you have not seen it, I strongly recommend it. Adrienne Barbeau is in this as well, as I mentioned before, who plays this like badass. There's like some history of her character in the movie, which I'm not going to get into because I don't want to spoil anything. But there's some history with her character in the movie, and why she's so relevant, because she's not in most of the movie, but her character is, and she's kind of like she kind of shows up later on, and she fucks shit up, and she's awesome. But it's just a cool movie, guys. You can see some of the stills back here. You can see Adrienne Barbeau right at the top there. Really cool demons, really cool story, really funny. Like, this movie doesn't take itself too seriously, which is one of the reasons why it hits so hard for me. So I strongly recommend it, guys. And if you want to watch it on digital, on disc, go get that Blu-ray from Synapse. But let me know if you guys have seen The Convent, because like I said, I hadn't even, this movie completely passing by when it came out back in the day. I don't know the exact reason, but I'm so glad I finally got to watch it, and on VHS for that matter. And I just want to know your thoughts, because I've never really spoken about this movie with anybody. Aesthetically, the VHS bangs hard. And so hit me up in the comments, guys, if you've seen the Convent, if you like The Convent, if this movie passed you by as well. If you got that Synapse release, let me know how it is. If you think the effects are good on the Blu-ray, because I'm gonna guess that they're not. And it's probably better left for VHS. That's my opinion. But let me know what you guys think. So that's what I got. Appreciate you hanging out, and it seems you guys are digging these movie reviews. I've been doing like some this or that and other stuff, and it's not getting much love. So I'm probably gonna shy away from that stuff from now on, but do more of the reviews, because you guys seem to be digging that stuff. It's getting a lot of engagement. So yeah, that's what I got for you guys today. Thank you for hanging out. Your boy Miles out. I'll catch y'all later. Peace.